with another episode of Local Roots. Hi, I'm Todd Studer. And as we are now officially into spring, and well, what do you know, it even feels like spring, I thought this would be a great time to visit with Pottawattamie Conservation. So I spoke with Jeff Franco, the executive director, and learned more about what's going on with the county park system around Pottawattamie County. And also, you know, what all of us campers really want to know: when's the water going to be turned back on so we can get out there and start enjoying some camping again? And we're going to talk about all of that coming up very, very shortly. Also, want to again invite you that if you or know of someone that has a great story to tell that you would like to hear on the Local Roots program, send me an email, toddstuder@gmail.com, and we'll make that connection and see what we can do about getting you or your friend or just acquaintance or whoever they might be, get them on. Would love to be able to talk to them. So maybe it's a service organization, maybe it's a nonprofit, maybe it's a local coach that is doing some great things within your community. Let me know. And we'd love to be able to have them on the program. Joining us now is Jeff Franco, Executive Director of Pottawattamie Conservation. Thrilled to get a chance to talk to you, Jeff. I know that you're a busy man, and sometimes finding a hole in that schedule could be a little tough, but it's worked out, and very glad that you could come on the show.
Well, yes, certainly. Likewise, thrilled to be talking to you. Listen to a couple of your podcasts. It's good stuff. We really appreciate what you're doing. Certainly appreciate you having me on.
And I'm grateful. Thank you very much for the compliment. Tell us a little bit about what's going on this time of year with Pottawattamie Conservation. Obviously, you know, you've got the traditional stuff going on. Every year as spring comes up, it's kind of a routine that you go through. But what are some of the different things that you folks are working on?
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head with kind of the cyclical nature of the work that we do. Certainly, that's part of what we do. Just coming out of the winter season, and for us, you know, that's a slow time for most of our parks. But the last couple of years, with the acquisition of Mount Crescent Ski Area as part of Hitchcock Nature Center now, that has really taken up our winter months. That's taken them up a notch, and so we've been very busy with Mount Crescent. Not a lot of snow this past year, but we've got a tremendous snowmaking system out of Mount Crescent. We were able to make a lot of snow, and we had a great season. So we're just ramping down with that particular aspect. And with the weather warming up here, sometime in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be ramping up with these cyclical summertime, springtime activities as well. So that includes just getting our outdoor education programs going, our land management gets going. This time of year, we really hit it hard with prescribed fire, really getting fire on the landscape, which is a big part of what we do. It's a couple times in the year. And then our camping picks up as well. You know, those are the three parts of our mission, you know, are the land management side, restoring the ecosystems that we manage, allowing people to learn about those ecosystems, and then allowing people to recreate within them. Kind of the idea being that, you know, if you're allowed to get out there and experience these firsthand, there's a greater chance that you're going to grow to appreciate these systems, appreciate these parks and what they offer. And if you appreciate those parks, there's a good chance you're going to support those parks as well and the work that we're doing. So we're kind of ramping up into that a higher level of outdoor activity for a lot of people. Some of the more unique things that we're doing, though, right now, kind of go back towards Mount Crescent again, but also where Mount Crescent right now is kind of a wintertime activity for a lot of people. The activities that we have that are unique right now related to Mount Crescent actually relate to the four-season aspects of what that place could provide for people. So the first thing is the rebrand of Mount Crescent. So Mount Crescent is no longer called Mount Crescent. It's actually called Crescent Hill at Hitchcock. We're rebranding that with the idea that, you know, Mount Crescent is now a part of Hitchcock Nature Center. And so we want to draw attention to that. It's not apart from it, it is a part of it, which is important. It's a part of that Loess Hills ecosystem and the geology out there that Hitchcock Nature Center protects, allows people to explore. And so we want to make sure that people understand Mount Crescent protects a portion of the Loess Hills, protects good portions of remnant prairie as well. And we're going to treat the land at Crescent Hill at Hitchcock, just like we would any other piece of land at Hitchcock Nature Center. It also alludes to the fact that we're working on a master plan for Mount Crescent. When we first acquired Mount Crescent, we explored a lot of different opportunities with what could potentially happen at Mount Crescent. We knew that skiing needed to be one thing that kept happening out there. But that was also a one season aspect. It made Mount Crescent kind of a one dimensional part of the park. There's potential there for that to be a four-season regional destination. And this rebrand alludes to the fact that we're moving forward and we're actually very close to completing the master plan for Mount Crescent as well, which really lays out kind of maybe a 10 to 15 year development vision for Crescent Hill at Hitchcock that would make this something that you've got people coming from Minnesota, from Kansas, from Missouri. This could potentially truly be a regional draw, all focusing on the unique aspects of that place. That it's a part of the Luss Hills, that it has remnant prairie, that it has high quality remnant woodlands on it as well, but giving people a very accessible location to get out, experience those, and along with a couple unique recreational opportunities that something like a zip line, maybe an adventure treetop tower, things along those lines that really bring people in, but everything kind of with an educational and conservation spin to it. So very excited about that as well. And really the rebrand and the master plan kind of go hand in hand here.
I'm assuming that when you acquired what is now Crescent Hill of Hitchcock, there's a big learning curve that had to be involved with that. And said, all right, well, we're in the skiing business now. I mean,
That's right.
We have to. Who here knows anything about this that we can start to try to incorporate some of this into it? Because initially it was just that's what it was. Now, obviously, there's a lot more coming up, but initially, just with that kind of focus, it had to have been, I would think anyway, a bit of a daunting task.
Yeah, it was a daunting task on a few different levels. I mean, you're absolutely right. The first and most daunting was that we've never run a ski hill before. We know how to run a park. We know how to rent out cabins. We know how to run an RV campground, things along those lines. But the ski industry was something that's very different. People think ski industry and they think Colorado, they think Vermont, even California. They don't think Western Iowa. Obviously, Mount Crescent, which was at the time, had been around for a long time, but we were never a part of that. And so when the previous owner agreed to sell Mount Crescent to the county, we had to do some pretty serious soul searching about what we wanted to do here. We knew that the recreational opportunity that skiing provides was so unique to this region that it wasn't something we wanted to take away. So we really took it upon ourselves to figure out how can we run this and how can we run it in a way that was maybe a little different than how the previous owner ran it as well. But that started with wrapping our minds around that, the business side of this a little bit, and then looking to the people that had been kind of doing the work on the ground at Mount Crescent, running that place day to day, looking to them for guidance initially, but then would you like to become county employees? Do you want to run this as part of the county operations? That first year, it was part of the county operations. And so we looked to those people. We got them hired. They were happy to come on with the county to keep this recreational asset going. And we leaned heavily on those people to tell us kind of the nuts and bolts of running a ski area. We took things, we've been in the community hearing things about Mount Crescent for several years, and we knew that there were a few things that could be improved. And so we took the opportunity, if they're going to handle the nuts and bolts, we can handle some of the bigger improvements that would make the customer experience better. And so we knew we had to invest in a snowmaking system that was going to provide more snow more often for people. We knew that we had to provide a point of sale system that was going to be more efficient. How do we speed up lines at the ticket counter, at the rental counter? How do we get the lift lines going so that people can come out and they feel like, okay, the county bought this as part of in addition to Hitchcock Nature Center, but they didn't just buy it and say, okay, we're going to keep things the same way. They took something and they improved it. So really, it was kind of a collaborative effort between the people that had been working there for years, and then what we'd heard from the county, utilizing some of the resources that we have to improve the customer experience out there. And between those two things, we're able to figure things out pretty well. And I think um, we've done good things by the customers as well. We've really gotten a lot of positive feedback on this, so it's been very exciting that way.
I still haven't traversed the trail yet. That is new, and I can't believe I haven't done it yet. But going going from where Hitchcock Nature Center is over to Crescent, I haven't done it, and I need to get out there and get on that because I think I've been on every other trail in
Yeah,
Hitchcock, but
yeah,
and some of them only once because I'm like, man, I can't believe I just got up that thing. But I wanted to talk to you a bit about because obviously with a lot of focus with the changes that have been happening there,
yeah,
we have such a wonderful park system around the county, and it's every park has its own unique features and what it is that people can get from that. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about just some of the differences and where maybe visitors that are consistently going to Hitchcock that haven't been to Bottom Bend or
right,
maybe to Arrowhead or any of the other places
sure.
that there's definite value to getting to some of the different parks.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right there. Each one of our parks, they are so unique. They have their own personality. And that's really based on where they're at in the county. And it relies on kind of the geographic and the ecological characteristics of those areas. It's one of the things that we look at when we are um, looking to potentially expand parks, uh, a new piece of ground, whatever it is. We're very selective about it. And we're looking for something that's unique and new, but also has a lot of ecological value that's still in place there as well. And that's one of the nice things about our parks is they are all unique from each other, and they each highlight kind of a different ecological component of Pottawattamie County. So you've got Botany Bend, for instance, um, where it's right along the West Nishnabotna River, and it's a beautiful river. It's kind of a classic prairie river in some ways. And then right next to that, you have bison and elk herds, which kind of represent part of that ecosystem that used to thrive in that area once upon a time. It You can spend that time RV camping, you can spend that time tent camping out there, but just a really unique experience. You can go out to Arrowhead, which is in a different part of the county. It's got a little more topographical relief, but it's got this really high quality oak woodland that sits there as well. You've got the opportunity to go hike through these oaks. And as you come down the hills off of that oak timber, you get to a 17-acre lake where you can fish, you can grab a paddle boat, you can grab a canoe, you can spend time RV camp, you can spend time tent camping. This is probably our more developed park when it comes to recreational amenities that most people think of when they consider a park. It's got sand volleyball. It's got those types of things as well. Really high quality stuff. Everything, and then you can get down to Narrows River Park, which is going to sit right on the Missouri River, offering a totally different feel from every one of our parks. So it's one of the unique assets. We're uniquely positioned that way to offer something that's just so different from what you can get anywhere in the metropolitan area, maybe even the region, all tucked in this one county. So really fortunate to be kind of stewarding these resources as well. It's something we all take a lot of pride in, and we just see it in the people that come out and how much it means to them to have a park system that's so well maintained and so well supported from everybody at the supervisor level for the county all the way down to just people coming to visit from whether that's Nebraska, Minnesota, wherever they're coming from. It means a lot to us to be a part of this.
And when you drive, when you get to one of these parks and you look at the cars in the parking lot, there's going to be plates from all over that are there that are visiting it.
Absolutely, absolutely. We've got at Hitchcock Nature Center. One of the unique feature there is really the globally significant Luss Hills, and people hear globally significant and they kind of gloss over that part of it, but truly, the Luss Hills of Western Iowa are globally unique in the fact that there's one other place on the planet that has a Luss Hills landform, and that's in China. But the Loess Hills of China have been degraded to the point where they no longer possess any of their natural characteristics, I might say, which makes the Loess Hills of Western Iowa the only place on this planet that has a Loess Hills landform that still possesses some of its natural characteristics. It truly is globally unique, and Hitchcock Nature Center protects a part of that. And so we get people from Germany, from Japan, from all over the world that sign the logbook there. It's really unique and interesting to go out and read that logbook once a year, that guest book, and just flip through the pages and see where everybody's from. You get people from Alaska, again, all over the world. People come to see the Loess Hills of Western Iowa, and Hitchcock Nature Center is one of the best places to do that.
You talked about, from the employees down to the visitors. There's also a lot of volunteers that help out with all of this. And if people are really passionate about the parks, and I think that is why it draws volunteers at the numbers that it does.
Yep, I agree with you, especially once people get out there. Earlier I talked about if you can get out there and experience it, chances are going to increase that you appreciate what you have, and if you appreciate it, you're going to support it. And we've seen as our parks have gained popularity, really we've seen a big spike since 2014. So maybe in the last 10 years or so, we've seen a big increase in visitation. And as more people get out and experience this, people come out and they say, I want to be a part of this in my own way. Some of them want jobs with the county. They want to be working at that park. Others of them just say, I will volunteer my time. I will split firewood. I will maintain the trails. I'll sit at a desk, whatever it takes. And we've seen an incredible increase in the number of volunteers over the last 10 years. And really in the last few. I mean, I've got to give a lot of credit to our volunteer and facilities coordinator, Dana Cruz. He's a guy just extremely personable. He was a volunteer and then saw the opportunity for this part-time position to manage some volunteers and recruit and attract them and give them opportunities to be a part of the parks as well. And he's done a tremendous job of drawing people in, finding different avenues for people to express their interest, to get out and be a part of things, whether that's sitting at a desk, taking apart a building that needs to come down, whatever it may be. He's really done a phenomenal job. And I think we maybe went from 40 to 50 volunteers total back in, well, I'm not even sure we had that many back in 2014, but I think we are somewhere in the range of 150 to 175 volunteers as of this past January when he gave an update on things. And he's just doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah, you brought up, just mentioned splitting firewood. It's one of my favorite features about going camping is we got access. I don't have to stop someplace and pay crazy dollars to get some firewood because you have it there and it's incredibly reasonable. I mean, I forget how much they brought me for $5, but a lot, and it's so much thought has gone into that. And any time that I'm out camping in the park system, it's a full experience and it's always a pleasant experience that the staff that's there. And well, I can remember, and anybody that's familiar with the park system knows about Chad Gravy and knows that the great job that he does. And he was in full uniform out talking with kids and that were camping and interacting with everybody. And it's in that starts at the top and just comes all the way down. It's just, as I said, it's such a wonderful experience to go.
Yeah, no, I mean, Chad Gravy obviously he's a guy with incredible charisma, and part of that is just he believes so strongly in what he's doing out there that he cannot help but share this with people, and it just comes through when you're talking to him. But you touched on the firewood, and you touched on our prices, and I think all of that even ties in with this idea that just our staff believe in what we're doing, and there's a sense of kind of collaborative harmony that goes with it. And that sounds a little cliche and a little cheesy, but our firewood, that comes from the trees that we cut down, which is part of the ecological restoration process, which gets back to the mission and why we're doing what we're doing. It's not just a park, but this is about teaching people and getting them to understand, the connection that they're part of something when they're out there that's very unique. And by burning that firewood, what you're doing is you're providing a space for our timber thinning, the kind of the product of our timber thinning, to be utilized in the parks and enhance your experience that way as well. And we're able to offer it cheaply because, well, we've got to do something with this wood. We don't want to just let it sit. But we can give people an incredible experience in a campground as a part of the byproduct of our ecological restoration. It really kind of just ties all of this in. If people ask, where do you guys get your wood? It gives us a chance to talk about timber thinning, why we're thinning those woodlands, what used to be there, how it's changed. So you tie in this recreation, education, and conservation. You kind of get those three threads that really just blend together in one conversation. So all of that works together so well with the operation, and you get somebody like Chad Gravy who loves talking about it. He'll captivate people with his passion, and when you've got these kind of these tangible opportunities to discuss these things right in front of them as they've got a fire that's crackling in front, it just adds to the allure of the whole outing that way.
I downloaded a bird app, that identifies bird calls.
Sure.
And I was at Hitchcock, and the birds are going in the morning, so I just hit it, and it identified 13 or 14 different ones, just right where I was at.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
And then I get out and I start looking around trying to find them, and some of them were not easy to find, but still the habitat for wildlife and for the birds, and there's other wildlife out there as well. It's much more diverse, I think, than people realize.
Oh, I think absolutely. And it's certainly depending where you are, you've got an incredible amount of diversity. Hitchcock Nature Center probably provides the most diversity, but even places like Arrowhead and Botany Bend have a significant amount of diversity there as well. But, Hitchcock with the birds, I mean, that was the first important bird area in Iowa as identified by the Audubon Society. And it was largely due to the diversity of the ecosystems that are there, the habitat that's there, and its location also in the Luss Hills and along the Missouri River floodplain also. So a lot of things come together right there. So it doesn't surprise me that you heard 13 or 14 different species. It's really a unique place for birding in particular. We get a lot of bird enthusiasts out there, so that's great to hear.
Well, all of us that are in the camping community, the big burning question is, when are you turning the water back on? How much longer do we have to wait?
So it's probably going to be towards the end of this month. We really just need temperatures at night to be safely out of the freezing zone. That's going to vary every single year, but yeah, coming up towards the end of March, the very beginning of April. If you keep an eye on our social media, our website, we'll be sure to announce that as soon as we make that decision.
Yeah, for me, that I love camping in the spring. Sure. Especially right as the trees start to leaf out a little bit, but they haven't gone fully because the bugs aren't out yet.
Right.
And it's still cool at night, and it feels better sitting next to a campfire, I think, when the temperature is going down a little bit cooler. Sure. But still, some people may not even be aware that the camping is open through the winter. It's just the water's not turned on, but there's access, and I know that there are some people that have done it. I had plans to do it, I just didn't make it. Yeah. But because it's a different experience, and you can experience the parks through the wintertime, which is going to give you a completely different feel.
It is. So that's one thing. Just as the prairie changes throughout the course of the summer, those changes don't stop once the cold weather sets in necessarily. They become a little less noticeable, and people are out there less. The seasons continue to affect the wildlife, the plant life, all of that. There's a lot of things that you can get out there and experience, whether it's a campfire, you want to sit at your campsite, or you want to get out for a hike. One of my favorite things to do is to go out on a crisp, like at zero or slightly below zero day, when the wind isn't blowing, and you get out for a hike. There's nobody else out there. The wildlife, because nobody else is out there, they're still out. They're out there just doing their thing, and you really get a very different experience than you would at any other time of year. So regardless of when you go out camping, you're going to find something unique at that time of year that you won't be able to see any other time.
And one of my favorite times to hike is if you can get a snowfall with no wind.
Yeah.
And you're out in the woods and hiking in that, boy, those are the types of things that feed my soul. Jeff, thank you so much for your time and for filling us in on everything that's going on around the park system. And hope that we can make this a regular feature and just kind of keep folks updated about what's happening. And, anytime that you have some information that you want to pass along, we'd be happy to do that for you.
I'll be happy to pop back on anytime, Todd. I appreciate everything you're doing for nonprofits, but particularly for what you're doing for Pottawattamie Conservation. So much appreciated.
Coming up tomorrow is an exciting event that I'm planning on attending. It's the kickoff for this year's NAMI Walks, and it's going to be at the Gathering Place at Neola. That is located at 202 South 2nd Street. It's going to take place Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. You can learn more about the walk, connect with the community, and find out how you can get involved. So hope that you see you there. And again, that's taking place Saturday morning at 10 at the Gathering Place in Neola. That's wrapping things up for today. Once again, thank you to Jeff Franco, Pottawattamie Conservation, for being a part of today's show. Looking forward to getting more information from them as the months go on this year. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. My name's Todd Studer. We'll see you back here Monday morning.